Hey, typical hunks adventure. Doing a video outside. Decided to go for a walk. Very nice day out, honestly. Still kind of getting used to filming out in public, but want to kind of share a story as I go for a walk. So kind of see how it goes. But yeah, 2021, a year I'll probably never forget, was the year that I was diagnosed and found out that I had degenerative disc disease, or just a mild disc disease. And yeah, it started with me going out on a vacation to one of my favorite spots, the Oregon coast. Went to Newport, Oregon, and things were fine. Ironically enough, every time I go on a trip with my in-laws, I feel like something happens. The first time we went to Vegas, the trip there was fine, but the van that we rented was a little cramped. So I ended up having knee pain for what felt like months. And so this trip, it was about a 14-hour drive. It's like, all right, I'm gonna try and prep for that and make sure that my knees don't hurt and get comfortable in the van that we had rented. And ended up not being my knees this time, and it being my back. And so yeah, the trip went fine. The day before we were leaving, when we went down to the beach, I do get seasick. Also, it was very windy, so I ended up getting like a migraine. But I was throwing my son in the air. We're having fun at the beach. Things were fine. Get back in the car, or van, and not long after, all of a sudden I got really sick. It's like I just came down with something. I assumed it was probably from the high winds, the migraine, being seasick, etc. But hard to say. Yeah, I felt sick to my stomach, almost felt like I needed to vomit. Just kind of sat in the car and didn't do anything for a bit. Later, we ended up getting milkshakes, and then I was fine again. So luckily, it kind of worked out after. Next day, totally fine. And we drive back home, and things were all right. Didn't think much of it. Went for a couple of long drives to places for some things, like hour-long trips and stuff like that. And had a little bit of back pain, not much. Kind of assumed it was probably just from being in vehicles a lot as we kind of drove around. And yeah, kind of left it at that. Get back home, a couple more days pass. I noticed my back wasn't feeling much better, honestly. It was about the same, but just progressively felt like it was kind of weighted down on me, kind of numb, as if I'd done a lot of tiring work. And tried using my back roller and just other things to try and alleviate that stretch. But yeah, nothing worked. Starting to the point where it was just a bit agonizing to deal with, and decided to look into chiropractors in my area. Kind of funny, because what I ended up finding was that there are 8 or 9 all in my city, all very close together. Was not expecting that, because it's one of those things where unless you need something, you're not going to look into it or anything like that. But we ended up finding out that there were a lot of chiropractors, so I looked into one that kind of met the needs with my insurance, and scheduled and got that going. And after a couple of visits, didn't really notice too much of a benefit. Always left feeling sore, never really felt better afterwards. Now let's go this way. Never actually walked this trail, so kind of fun. But yeah, kind of went about that. And the chiropractor didn't help too much. And after a while, I was like, all right, I need to look into something else. So reached out to my doctor, and he got me in touch with, okay, well, maybe you should get it's either an MRI or a CT scan. I'm trying to think of what it was exactly. I think it was an MRI. And yeah, so I had the MRI done and heard back, it was either later that day or the day after, the news that I had mild disc disease and my L4 and L5 on the spine, as well as a disc bulge and some mild irritations. So didn't really know how to take that news at first, and they recommended I did some physical therapy, so that's what I ended up doing. Luckily, the physical therapist was in the same building as where my doctor was, so went down there and got that set up and started going 2 times a week. the issue was, even with insurance, it was about $50 a visit. So you can imagine that adds up pretty quick when you are going 2 times a week, monthly, etc. And for what they kind of do and show you basic exercises, and they give you a paper to take home for some things that you can do. And yeah, you know, it helped a little bit. I felt like I was going in the right direction with that. And after a bit, I didn't really notice much progress. So that's when I decided, okay, you know, let's look into some other things. What are some other exercises or things we can try out? So we did some of the cupping, back scraping, different things like that. The back scraping actually helped a little bit. It was actually the day before my birthday. I had to go in for an appointment, and they did the back scraping. I was pretty sore, but then on my birthday, I didn't have any back pain. It's almost as if it had disappeared, and it was really interesting because, yeah, I just, you know, I had been dealing with this for months, and all of a sudden it was gone for a day. But then, of course, the next day it was back. And I went back for a future visit, and I mentioned the back scraping had helped, and they tried it again. I left sore. Next day, woke up also sore, so it did not help again. But it had been months, and I felt like I had been spending so much, and I felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere, which is unfortunate when you're dealing with, you know, back pain. A lot of people don't realize it unless they have it. It's just a constant weighted feeling of pressure, and really gives you fatigue. You know, I like to walk around, run around, play with my kids, but after a couple minutes it really does take its toll, which is unfortunate. And so I went back to my doctor. He recommended a specialist. Met with the specialist. They tried some things, and they mentioned, you know, we have some options. We can look into injections or something else if, you know, that may be the case. But what they wanted to try were a test block with ablations, which is where they kind of burn the nerves. Now, of course, it is temporary relief. Some people, it may, you know, help them even longer, or some people, you know, as short as maybe 6 months or a year or so. But it was worth trying. Now, I did have options where I could have gone to that local place. It actually happened to be right next to the doctor, but it cost more money, but it would have been convenient because it was right by my house. Or I could have drove 45 minutes-ish across over some mountains to get to another location that was in network and everything like that, and a lot cheaper, and they could get me in sooner. Ended up going with that route. And yeah, the first test block they did it on the left side of my spine. Immediately did not feel any pain. Felt like my normal self. It was awesome. 10 minutes later, wore off. And yeah, but you know, it's just a test to see how it's going to potentially work. Came back again, did the right side, same thing. Pain went away, felt awesome. And then we scheduled the actual surgery, which we come in. It's kind of an interesting thing because they take really, really cold soap and put it on your back, and it just like numbs the area. It really shocks you. And then I was waiting for them to, you know, poke me, burn the nerves, whatever, and that never came. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you're all done, you can get up. So the cold soap had numbed me so much I didn't even feel anything. But yeah, got it done. That one I felt a little bit more pain after, but not a lot. You could definitely tell that the ablations were, you know, helping in that regard. But even after doing all of that, I kind of noticed that instead of having back pain, what I ended up having from that was a feeling as if someone had grabbed a handful of skin on my back and just kind of twisted it. So I think somehow when they did that, it probably had pinched a nerve somewhere on the back, and it kind of gave that feeling as if my skin was really tight. So that kind of sucked, but most of the weighted feeling was gone. Now, of course, it's hard to know, you know, unless it was fully gone, that I would feel good. Otherwise, you're just like, okay, is this the pain I've been dealing with for months, or has it slightly gotten better? And I just, you know, it was kind of hard to tell. And it's one of those things where, okay, maybe after months and months and months, I'd be like, okay, yeah, actually I had it pretty good, and now that pain is starting to settle back in, which was a little bit of the case but the ablations did help, so definitely happy with those. You know, maybe in the future I'll kind of go back and look into trying those again, especially because I could skip some of the process for that because I've already had that work done, so I would just be scheduling to have the ablations done. But yeah, I tried anything and just about everything that I could at home. You know, different back stretching things, different heating equipment, massagers, even tried an inversion table, which I was hoping would kind of pop the back, because it's kind of what I always feel like I need, just some kind of separation of the spine. But yeah, now I have a pull-up bar that I kind of have set up that I can hang from if I'm hoping to decompress the lower back, which has helped in some regards. And then outside of that, tried switching up my diet a little bit. I guess I should probably turn around. I realized there's only so much to talk about, and I could probably walk in this direction forever and be really far from where I had parked. But yeah, some other things I tried, you know, we're switching up my diet. I looked into different, it was like anti-inflammatory foods, you know, like certain fruits and vegetables that I could add into my diet. Also looked into, oh, let me show you real quick. Nice little view there of the mountains in the back. Just really nice day with all of the fresh snow on there. But yeah, I looked into different things with my diet, you know, with different fruits and vegetables, anything that could help with being anti-inflammatory in case that, you know, is part of the problem. And also looking into whole foods, and, you know, different kinds of breads. So eating, you know, like a whole wheat bread instead of just eating a lot of white toast and stuff like that, hoping, you know, something like that would help. And another suspicions I had was my mattress, because we had just gotten a purple mattress when we moved into our new house, which was right around the time that we actually were heading onto this vacation. So I kind of had my suspicions there. Now, of course, when we bought the new house, you know, we never really had a nice mattress before. I decided to kind of go all out, and in terms of when we were getting furniture, didn't really know what we needed or not. So of course the purple mattress I got had too much of kind of like a gel topping on there, which is nice for some, but when you're not someone that's, you know, typically super heavy, I'm not sinking all the way into that and hitting the support of the mattress. So my body was just kind of shaped like a banana, kind of, you know, curved. My back was going down. So I had some suspicions there that that was not helping me. And no matter what I was doing throughout the day, if I was spending, you know, an average about 8 hours at night sleeping in that kind of position, that was going to be causing part of the problem with my lower back. And I tried other things with putting, you know, pillows under there, or like pads, things like that, to kind of help put support there. And yeah, everything I kind of tried in that regard did not help. And tried sleeping on the floor. I saw videos of people that slept on the floor and have never gone back to using a mattress. And you know, maybe I'll talk about that more in another video, but I did do it for 2 days. The issue is, you know, having support from a partner. It's tough when you're, you know, you're married and you have kids and you're trying to try something like sleeping on the floor, and your partner's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna sleep on the bed. But then they think they're the problem, when really it's just me trying to, you know, figure out my physical health and things like that. And so the first night sleeping on the floor, not a problem. I actually woke up feeling a bit more alert. I don't know if it was from like a mixture of, maybe I felt like I didn't get as much sleep, maybe I get a good deep sleep. I didn't really have a way to track that, but you know, maybe something like that happened. I did feel that, you know, there's like a heightened sense of awareness in terms of sleeping on the floor after 2 days. But what also came with that was upper back pain and a little bit of neck pain, because I didn't have that much support there, but my lower back did feel a bit better. So, you know, I feel like I was just kind of trading one thing for the other in terms of that. But up at my in-laws, they had a mattress, fairly firm. I'd say actually it's pretty firm, and sleeping on that, you know, I would wake up with some back pain, but then I realized throughout the day I didn't feel it as much, so it was kind of cool. And so I kind of made the decision, you know, let's try out this mattress. So I looked it up, actually found it on Amazon, so it ended up being a good deal. It was only like a $400 mattress for even a king size, so we upgraded to that, got a new frame for it. And I was kind of hoping this was going to be the problem solver for me, or the answer to my problems. And so we set it up, and that was such a pain too, even moving the other mattress by myself with back issues. But you know, that's just struggles of life. And so we got the new mattress in, and I wanted it to work. My body, I feel like, wanted it to work. You know, I would lay on this mattress, it was pretty firm, and it felt like it was mimicking the floor and what I needed. But yeah, same situation. I would wake up with neck pain, upper shoulder pain, and so I looked into different pillows, finding one like a contour pillow that would help rest my neck, which kind of worked, but it also felt a little strange trying to use something like that. So I actually switched away from that. I still use a pillow that I had before, which doesn't give any neck support, but I don't wake up with a sore neck, so I don't know how that works, but and then I tried other things like underneath pillows and stuff like that, but kept waking up fairly sore with using just that mattress. So we looked into a mattress topper, like, okay, you know, we can get a thin one that provides a little bit of comfort, especially around the shoulders and things like that, but it still allows me to sink in enough to you know, have my body be supported by a firm mattress. And that's helped a little bit, but of course I'm still dealing with back pain daily, and yeah, it's not exactly fun. I would not wish it upon anyone who does not have back pain and does not have to know what it feels like in terms of, you know, doing things like that. And you know, you try and do a combination of it all, but sometimes it's hard trying to do everything right, like switching your sleeping routine, switching your diet, making sure that you're trying to do specific exercises and stretches. It's definitely a long and full commitment, which is tough when you have a family. And if you're doing the cooking like me, then you're either trying to make meals that everyone can enjoy that help you in terms of a diet, or you're cooking two separate things. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been dealing with there. And I also follow the account, I believe it's Dr. Gooby and Doobie, and he mentions, or yeah, you know, he kind of goes into how he was a surgeon and helping people that also had back pains and things like that. And one of the things that he mentioned best was, you know, changing your diet, maybe switching to a meatless diet, or, you know, eating certain things that are going to be anti-inflammatory, and, you know, whole foods and things like that. So I thought I was on the right direction with that. I probably just need to have more discipline and really stick to it. But yeah, nonetheless, that's just kind of my story about how the year 2021 is a year that I'm never going to forget. I would like to, if I'm able to, get over this hurdle dealing with back pain. Now, I will say it's not as bad as it has been. You know, I'm not on my knees in like a fetal position or anything like that, dealing with crippling pain to that regard. Hopefully it never gets there. I have coworkers that deal with sciatic pain and have mentioned how miserable life can be like that. But yeah, I am just about walking back to the car, kind of into a residential area, so a bit more awkward for me filming myself. But you know, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.